All right, let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Purpose Podcast. I'm your host, Soli. Our other co-host, Haley, she's out on vacation right now. We'll be back. And anyways, we got a special treat for you guys today. One of my good friends, a brother of mine, Sua Manuma, is on our episode today. I'm gonna give a little introduction, and then I'll let you go after it, bro. Sure. Introduce whatever I missed. But I met Sua. He was my barber for a long time. He's no longer a barber anymore, as he's pursuing other ventures. But I know from sitting in the chair that he's got a good story, man. You've got a good story, and we just need to hear it because I don't even know the full story. So I think it'd be good for everyone to get a little piece of the things that I've been able to hear in the chair. But hailing from the beautiful islands of Hawaii.
Yes, sir.
He moved here to Utah, obviously started his barber journey where he helped start up the shop. He was one of the first ones in the seats, cutting in the stations, to one of the OGs there at Royal Cuts. And I love Sue. He's a good friend of mine. But anyways, that's to the extent that I've been able to have a good friendship with Sua outside of, getting my hair cut, and also with just talk of business and other things that we've been able to dabble into together. And so, anyways, from that point, just give us a little background, bro.
Sure.
Where you're from, and yeah, give an idea of where you're from, your family, life, anything like that. Yeah. Go ahead.
So yes, government name. Joshua Manuma. From high school to the present day, a lot of people know me as Sua or Iosua. As Soli was saying, born and raised on the island of Oahu, Hawaii. It's no other place like it. I don't regret being from home. It was a bittersweet feeling leaving home, but yeah, born of great parents. My dad, who's no longer residing here on Earth, but his legacy definitely still lives on, and survived by my mom and all four of my other siblings. So there's 5 of us in total. But man, growing up in Hawaii, man, it was, and I guess growing up in Hawaii in the household that I grew up in was a special place. Definitely hard times and trial, but my dad was a full-time entertainer. He was a musician his whole life. Oh. So growing up, that's why now, and I don't mean this, I don't mean the slight or shade to any musician, but that's why nowadays not a lot of things impress me, because growing up, I got to see all of that from my pops and his band. Dude,
I feel you, man.
Yeah, so, like seeing all the entertainment, seeing all the cues, the kicks, and everything that they did, that was, I knew him before I knew Elvis. So when I hear Elvis's voice, a lot of times I'm like, because Elvis was my pops' idol. But when I hear Elvis singing, I'm like, man, this guy trying to sound like my dad right now. So, but and then on the opposite end, my mom, strong woman, hula dancer. Some of you who are familiar with Kim Taylor-Reese, she's a very famous, world-renowned hula photographer, Hawaiian hula photographer. And my mom's picture to this day, well, it put him on the map, made him the most money revenue, and to this day it still does. And so that's where a lot of my people know who my mom is, and just her sweet personality and her spirit, let alone her beautiful hula. So that's my parents in a nutshell. There's a lot more that I can share as we go on, but
and 4 other siblings.
Are
you the oldest?
No, I'm the middle child.
Oh,
your boy's the black sheep. So there's 4 boys, 1 girl. My sister's the oldest, and I always say this every time I mention my family. I'm so grateful that I have an older sister versus a younger sister, because I love my sister a lot, so I'm already have this protective persona over her. But to have a younger sister, I don't know if I could deal with attitude younger than me and all the sass. So, but instead I got 2 girls. So
there you go.
But just my siblings are my best friends. I love them to pieces. One of them is up here in Utah, and all of them are all back home in Hawaii. So
nice. So family of 5 kids, mom and pops, grew up Hawaii. It's just the life. You guys jam session all the time.
Man, to be honest, no.
Oh, okay.
My pops did not want any of his kids to be musicians because he didn't want us to live the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle
Yeah.
that he was living. Fortunately, my mom, she's closing in on almost 50 years at Hawaiian Airlines as a flight attendant. And, much to my mom's credit and to be fair, her financial, work ethic is what kept our family alive. And my pops definitely, he definitely put in the work as far as being a musician, and he also had side hustles as, doing furniture businesses, moving businesses, all of that. My pops was a hard worker. But yeah, we sang and stuff, but never did he was like, hey, go pick up the ukulele, go grab the guitar, I'm going to teach you guys stuff, or let's sing this and that. It was never like that. Just give a little bit background. My pops is number 10 out of 16. So all from the same parents, no half or no step brothers and sisters.
Shout out to your grandma.
Shout out to my grandma Faleiva, man. I always joke around. By the time she got to like 13, she probably just breathed everything out like a good Rick Ross grunt and just and just pop one out just like that. But every time, my pops and my uncle was the musicians, or at least at the family parties and at the konga'is and stuff. And but those were the jam sessions when all the cousins, all the aunties and uncles got together, and my pops and my uncles would just post up with their guitars. That's when it all happened. So I guess technically, there was jam sessions, just not so much in our own home.
Nice, bro. I feel you. So I mean, I'll assume that, you had you enjoyed your childhood.
Oh man.
And there's a lot of memories that you can take that, I feel like have made the person you are today. So that being said, being on the Purpose podcast, we like to get an idea of where people, kind of originated their purpose from. Mm-hmm. So first question we always ask everyone is, what's your purpose? Like what drives you every day? And then we want to dive deep into how that came to be, and then people who've influenced that as you've talked about already. But just we'll dive more into it. But sure. What's your purpose? What do you feel like that is? And
I feel like there's a few sides to my purpose. Past wise, my purpose is making sure that I'm making my younger self proud of who I am today. A little bit more recently, now that my pops is not here, that also drives me. Knowing that I'm still here on earth and that I literally do have a purpose because I'm still here. That's another driven factor for me to live my so-called purpose here on earth. And obviously as now that I'm a dad, it's just my girls, my wife, my 2 daughters.
Yeah.
This world is a scary world, and being a parent, and I think you can attest to it too, being a parent, seeing what's out there, and looking at your little children grow up in this world, you cannot help but partake in making sure that you're doing everything the best you can as a parent.
Yeah.
And so yeah, those 3 factors, just my younger self being proud, using my pops and his passing on to the other side of the veil, and making sure that I'm living that here now that I'm still here, and making sure that I'm being a good example to my daughters.
I got you. Nice, man. That said, were there some things, figuring out your purpose from your past time until now, what are some hurdles and trials that you've had, I guess, that have kind of set you back, that may have, played a role in you finding a purpose, or played a role in hindering you finding your purpose?
Man, I think with this, there's 2 things to it, right? I cared too much about what people thought of me, and there's a positive and negative to it. There's pros and cons to it, but I would give in so much that I would lose myself in not being myself. Like I would literally lose myself and lose the vision, and all of these great things and correct things that my parents brought me up on. I would get lost. I would give in to my peers. I would give in to the environment around me. And people might think Hawaii, it's it's paradise. there's nothing to worry about. Hang loose. Shaka. But I'll be honest with you. Yes, there is that side of Hawaii, and that's the side that everybody on Hawaii wish they could live. But there's also the side, like I say, there's every paradise has its prison, and there was many things that, and in the areas that we lived in, my parents did a great job at making sure that, one, we didn't believe that we were living in a ghetto area, and two, when we finally moved out of that area and moved to a little bit more developed and nicer areas, we might have not had everything, but they made sure that we never saw that.
Yeah.
They always made sure that we were the priority and that we got everything that we needed, even when we didn't have it. Right?
Yeah.
So, but, going back to the question, is just, I would lose myself amongst my peers. So much, man. It was just, and I think that has also played and hindered in the type of choices that I made. Even though I knew they were wrong, I got mixed up with groups that is not socially acceptable, especially in my own home. Mm-hmm. My parents, my pops, got to a point where my pops, it wasn't, why are you hanging out with these people anymore? It was just more like, hey, just, it got to a point where I was already an adult. And I was like, hey, just be careful. I can't tell you what to do, and it wasn't that I was doing anything illegally or whatnot, but he just understood the demeanor and the type of people that he would see me in association with. I think another hurdle that definitely played a big part of knowing my purpose was my mission. The fact that I didn't finish my mission. I didn't complete my 2-year mission. I came home at 9 months, and listening to this story, people are probably gonna be like, "What the heck?" And it wasn't anything that I necessarily did on my mission. There was just I spent 9 months, 7 months in Utah, pretty much. I originally got called to New Zealand, the Auckland, New Zealand mission, Samoan speaking, but during this time, the visa process was so crazy. New Zealand actually shut it down. So myself and I think your cousin Billy Purcell, that's my boy Billy. If you're watching this, I love and miss you, man. But yeah, him, myself, and a sister, a solo sister, Sister Porter. That's our homegirl right there. That's our family. But all three of us got separated because we're going to New Zealand, but they shut down the visa process. We all got put in different parts of the country, of the United States, and I got sent. I just stayed here in Utah. And I went to St. George, Utah, Southern Utah mission. And there was things I just didn't take care of before my mission. And I thought that, not that I could get away with it, but I just felt like, okay, I'm all right. Like I could just go serve, do what I got to do. I came home when I actually finally made it to New Zealand. I was, from LA to New Zealand, I think it was about a 15-hour flight. And I sat there just thinking, like everything that I didn't take care of just came rushing, like just 1,000 bullets at one time. And I landed in New Zealand. I was ready to work. Talked to my mission president, President Lakius, and he had high hopes for me. It's like, hey, Elder Manuma, I'm grateful that you're here. Let's you have experience, and I'm trusting you that you can help us out. And I was all for it, but just something just couldn't. There was just this burden that couldn't peel off on my back. So I was only in New Zealand for like 4 days. And so, but those 4 days was one of the best times that I've ever had serving the people of New Zealand, And yeah, it wasn't long at all, but it was. So when some people here, like they ask me, so how long were you in New Zealand? It's like, like 4 days.
Couple days.
like 4 days. And like, are you serious? Like, yeah, man, that's what it was. But being able, to come home early, face some of that challenge literally in my face. It was a big, I'm not sure if we're trying to, I don't mean to get religious or anything, but to see that, it's a big testimony to me of how much Heavenly Father had his love for me personally. Yeah. And so, until this day, I just, I keep going, and there's a lot of things that I experienced on my mission that I can never deny. And So that part has really instilled me and molded me into my
Yeah.
purpose right now. So
That's awesome, bro. And just for some of our listeners who may not be familiar with the majority of our audience being here in Utah, everyone's familiar with the mission. But outside of those who may not be familiar, going and serving an LDS mission is, before you go, there's a lot of things that you want to do in order to be able to be prepared to give all of your time and your focus to serving people and preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. And one of those things is just trying to prepare as best as you can. And so when Sua talks about those things, it's just, there's some things that he might have just missed. But speaking to that point, now that we're here, because I want to touch on it real quick as far as, the purpose of fulfilling the full 2 years. But I know a lot of great people who didn't finish, who are still some of the best people I know today.
Yep.
So there's obviously a stigma that I think is good. It's being broken down, especially with this new generation and our newer mindset of, especially in this type of culture where it's just like, if you didn't complete, that doesn't make you a bad person. Not at all. There's just a different purpose, and that's obviously molded the purpose that you have now, just like you said. So props to you for that. That said, you had a lot of experiences there on your mission, family, childhood that have brought you your purpose now. Who are, aside from the people that you've mentioned and talked about, who are some other people that have kind of influenced you to have the purpose you do now and want to do what you do now?
So yes, obviously outside of my family, right? Like obviously my parents, and we can get into that a little bit more. But outside of my family, man, there's some important people. I mentioned Tavo and Andrea Tupola. Those two, especially Tavo Tupola, those of you might actually know him who are local here in Utah. He played for the U. He went to Kohuku, and after his mission, I believe, I'm not sure if it was a full ride scholarship, but he ended up playing at the U, O-line, and he was all Mountain West O-line and everything. Made it to the NFL for a little bit, but him and his wife definitely helped me in my ways of when the road was very shaky, the road was very rocky. They helped me outside of my family because they loved me, but more so they loved my parents so much that they didn't want to see any of their kids falter to society, right? So they definitely helped me. And honestly, I can't say their names, but there's some OGs out there, and they know exactly who they are, who I still keep tabs in with today. But those guys definitely, they're we talk about stigmas, right? And in society's eyes, they might not be the best type of people. But if you ever just get a chance to sit down with those type of people, man, there's nothing but love and smartness behind it, And so there's a lot of people in that aspect that have definitely helped me outside of my family, outside of not just my immediate, but my extended family that has played a big role. And some of them are actually my best friends. So,
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of family, bro, we've talked about your extended family, immediate family, and we've talked about it when I've been in the chair. But what are your current plans now with your forever family?
Oh man. One, just I'm trying to follow the golden rule of multiply and replenish the earth. But, excuse me. No, but honestly, I just want I want my family to there's definitely, I think everybody faces financial issues, whether it be debt, good debt, bad debt, and I want to make sure my family there's a lot of languages that we want to learn, but one of the first and most important languages, financial literature, is what I want to make sure my family is sound in, especially my kids growing up. My wife, she was brought up really well as far as understanding financial literature and how it works in today's world and how you're able to leverage that knowledge in the respectable way that it can be used for. But I want my kids to have that as well. And going forward, I just want them to know that they have loving parents. I know there's gonna be some really tough times ahead of us, especially with two girls.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Oh man, being a girl dad, it's the best.
it's
So you
the
just
best.
look at your daughter's eyes, and they're so beautiful, and you're just like, don't grow up,
No,
or
man.
else I'm gonna have a hard time.
So
Like,
our 4-year-old, like, I mean, we're at that point where we see her getting bigger, we see her getting smarter. You know,
Yeah.
she's knowing a lot more. And when she turned 4, like maybe like couple weeks after we turned 4, like my wife and I had a moment, and I always hug my daughter when we go to sleep. I always say, "Love you, best friend. Good night and sweet dreams," and she'll reply everything back to me. And then there's nights where I hugged her and I was like, "Don't grow up." She's like, "Okay, daddy." I was like, "Please don't grow up." And I look over at my other daughter. You know, she's 5 months now.
Wow.
So I look at her and she's just like squirming, and I'm like looking at the two of like, man, that was just you 4 years ago. And you know, so yeah, I ultimately I want my kids to know that everything that we do as parents is in their best interest. And I want to make sure that I find a balance of being someone that they can open up to, but that they also understand that there has to be consequences to their choices, and maybe not portray it in the way that I grew up. But I want them to understand that there's consequences, and you know, we should know when to discern what's right and wrong. So
Yeah.
but there's many other things too that I'm not quite catching right now, but those are the things that stand out the most.
Nice, bro. Nice, bro. One other question I thought of as far as purpose is with your current goals and I guess ideas of where you want to be in the future. Maybe that's career wise or just personal life wise. What are some things that you're hoping to accomplish in the future?
Yeah.
Like for example, just for me and my wife, one of the things that we want to do is we were blessed enough to have just a lot of cool just family and friends give us experiences, even like the little things like they've taken us to, I don't know, like to a restaurant that we never thought we'd go to, or little things like that, providing experiences. So that's something that we've wanted to try to do as far as, you know, our purpose is providing experiences for anyone around us that may not have had the chance to. And so I guess in your case, what are some things that you want to do, or your purpose moving forward with those you're associated with or in your career?
So career wise, man, right now I'm, as Soli mentioned, I was a fairly long time barber, and now I'm just kind of engaging into the sales field. It's definitely been quite the challenge, but ultimately my goal is just to acquire as much knowledge as I can. That's really what it is, and wherever that leads to, that's the road that I'll be taking for the most part. And making sure that I bring my family along for the ride. You know, I think the term, you know, financially free and all that, you know, I don't think it's played out, but I think that's just everybody's goal. And financially free has different meanings to different situations. But I would like to provide my family a lifestyle of experiences, a lifestyle of travel, a lifestyle of togetherness, and a lifestyle of just being able to, you know, not overlook the moment. I think for me, growing up or just in my past, sometimes I'll be in the moment, but I'm already looking like, oh man, only 2 more days till we have to go back home. Or it's like, oh shucks, like this time last week we were doing this and now we're over here working. You know, I think I still do that. And so I think hearing me say that might keep myself accountable now that I'm doing that. But, you know, being in the moment, enjoying the moment, and making the most of the moment with obviously my family, but like you mentioned, whoever I'm associated with, making sure that those moments count.
I agree. That's awesome, bro. And again, to remind everyone, the reason of this podcast is, again, to bring everyday people,
Mm-hmm.
everybody onto this podcast to get an idea of where people come from, why we do what we do, and what drives us to be a better people that we see every single day on social media. Because just like you said, there's a lot of things that we see as far as like, that make this world scary. So for example, the Purpose Podcast is brought to you guys by Lemonade, which is a company that leverages blockchain technology to help nonprofits get more money from the donors to the nonprofits. That being said, one of the purposes that they hold is making sure that, the funds go where they're supposed to be. And so for us to kind of help everyone have an idea of, I guess, mentally why we do what we do, it was just, this podcast was it, is to get everyone's stories so that we can all understand that the more human we are together, we're all in the same boat. No matter what skin color you are, no matter what race you are, no matter your background, there's all one commonality that everyone sees from this podcast whenever we ask about it. And ultimately, if it's with their family or those around them, it's always, my purpose is usually just, I kind of want to just be happy, live a good life with my family.
Yep.
And I'm sure everyone that we bring on and that we have brought on will have that same answer. So,
Sure.
I mean, the idea is just to get it to everyone that we're all here,
Yep.
we're all here just trying to make it and just to provide a better life for everyone on this world today. So for those who may be struggling to find a purpose or may not know where they're going right now or at the moment, what advice would you give to those people in order for them to find a path of purpose or anything like that? What advice would you give someone if they didn't know what they were doing?
Man, what I did, and I'll only tell people what I did. I wouldn't say anything that I didn't do before. Nothing extraordinary, just a simple advice of one step at a time. One step at a time, I was able to find, completing high school. One step at a time, I was able to get into sports. One step at a time, I was able to find purpose to serve my church mission. One step at a time, I found myself to just keep going. One step at a time, I found my wife. One step at a time, moved to Utah. One step at a time, holy crap, I'm a barber. One step at a time, dang, I want to do more for my family, so I'm going to hop out the barber scene and I'm going to go into this tech field of sales. One step at a time, I don't know where I'll be, but it's just one step at a time. That's my simple advice. I think it's a heavy question to ask yourself that, like, what's my purpose? Like, what am I made to do? And I think people need to understand that it's okay if you don't have an answer. It's okay if the unknown is something that you have to accept, but it's just one step at a time.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
One foot forward. One foot forward, whatever comes, that's what you just go with.
Exactly.
Dude, one of my favorite analogies is, I'm not a boxer, but correct me if I'm wrong if you are a boxer.
He's a boxer.
Dude, no, I'd get dropped by anybody. Just kidding. No, I'll drop anybody, dude. Just kidding, everybody. Don't challenge me on this podcast.
Drop it in the comments.
Who do you want?
Who do you want?
Nah, just kidding. No, but is I guess the idea of leaning into the punches.
Yep.
There's obviously rolling with the punches, but anything is that obviously you dodge and stuff, and your head bobbing, head weaving and everything. But analogy I love is just when it's just like it hurts less when you lean into the punches or when you roll with the punches, not necessarily avoiding it because inevitably things are going to go wrong.
Yep.
Things are going to happen to you. So if you just roll with the punches, things will kind of work out.
Yeah.
They'll just play out. And I think in our experience with some of the challenges that we faced, just roll with the punches. We'll be all right. So that's
Yeah.
another story. If you guys want to ask us and have a sit down with Sue and I, we'd
Let me
be
know.
more than happy to
Off camera.
off camera give you guys a little spiel. Just kidding, everyone. But
Just kidding.
that's pretty much it, everyone. So, I mean, Sue, anything else that we might have missed in your backstory, where you come from, or something that a part of your story that you feel would be very beneficial for those listening?
Yeah. I think it's just a message to all the Polynesian kids, but specifically to the kids of Hawaii, especially right now. My family, our love and our prayers go out to those affected by the Lahaina fires. We have family on Maui, but fortunately they weren't affected. But this rebuilding stage, I know it's tough. I know there might be no end in sight to the struggles that you're going through, whether it be the Lahaina fires or even in your own environment. But like I mentioned, one step at a time. Listen to your parents. Can't struggle enough. My parents always used to say, like, you kids won't understand what mom and dad go through until you have a family of your own. And my siblings and I, we never rolled our eyes when they said it. It was said to us a lot. That's how much time they had to scold us. But, and I'm not going to sit here and say that we were spoiled kids, because we weren't. We were raised in love, discipline, and humility. But there was many of those teaching moments where it was just, we will never know until we're in the position of those who marched before us. And, to the kids nowadays, not the upbringing, but just society is so different. The Aloha State, unfortunately, a lot of my family and friends that still live back home, they're saying that Aloha is being lost in many ways. And, if you folks I think it just starts in the home. So, I mean, if the kids back home in Hawaii or Polynesian kids everywhere you're at, you can, and it's a two-way thing. It's parents and kids and parents together.
For sure.
But love your parents. Listen to them not as best as you can, but listen to them. Let your parents know that you love them, and vice versa. Parents, let your kids know that you love them 1,000 times a day. And just know that if you want to be an athlete, be the best athlete you can be. Start now. If you don't want to be the best athlete, be the best whatever you want to be. There's roads and avenues for everyone to thrive in, and sometimes going through the storm, like you mentioned, the challenges that we go through, that's where you'll find your purpose the most. Because when you falter is that's when we see who's gonna stand back up or who's just gonna stay down.
Yeah.
Don't get sidetracked by those who are not on track, and trust the process, not the hype. Everyone likes to hear the great things about the journey you're on.
100%.
It's just, oh yeah, come work with me over here because we get paid $20 an hour, or we get unlimited days off, or whatever the case might be. Yes, there's all of that greatness, right? One thing as a barber, that's one of those things that I learned was, trusting the process and not the hype. Because now with social media, we got everything saying like, yeah, you can make X amount of money as a barber or an entrepreneur. But nobody really wants to talk about the work that goes in.
A lot of work
off of social media. A lot of work, man. And to be quite honest, I burnt myself out. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy it. I loved every second of it. But I needed to find a different way to revamp my purpose.
Yeah.
Which is the road that I'm on right now.
Just an adjustment.
Yep. And that's why I always mention to parentpreneurs, right? That's what I call them. Entrepreneurs who are parents and who feel like they're doing it all on their own. They're trying to be there for their kids, for their spouse, yada, yada, yada. I always say it's you can take a break from being an entrepreneur, but you can't take a break from being a parent. Mm-hmm. And so, it's the entrepreneur journey, like you said, it's just a little shift, Definitely, I still have that driving factor of getting back into it, whatever that journey might be. But there's a lot of things that was just said, but to the kids of Hawaii, to the kids of Polynesia, and to kids everywhere, dream big, just one step at a time.
Dream big.
Go
big.
Go big.
Go big.
Go big, or just don't go at all. You know, that's how it goes.
There's a lot of opportunity out there.
So much. It's 2023 and beyond. So, you know, but Sully, man, thank you for having me. Uso.
Thank you for coming on the podcast, everyone. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Again, this new season is suggestions and comments people from you. Fortunately for me, this first episode of this new season came from me, and so this is my treat to you guys to have Sua on the show today. So
pleasure, the honor. It's my honor. Thank you.
We're excited for you guys to listen to this. Again, follow us on Lemonade. Follow us at our other socials, and give Sua a follow as well to follow him on his journey as he moves one step at a time from this moment to the next moment. We're excited to see where he goes.
Come along.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Hey, thank you. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Aloha.